Everyone, it's Chandra with Elise Financial Services. We are on day 3 of 30 Steps to a Better Financially You. And today we're going to talk about clearing the financial clutter out of your life. So we kind of alluded to that yesterday in day 2, where we took our monthly accounts, our monthly expenses for the past 3 months and figured out what our money trends are. Okay, so for today, we're actually going to look at getting the clearest possible understanding of where all of our bills are. Okay, so I know for many of you, I'm guilty of this as well. Back in the day, I would see a bill that I didn't want to open. I was scared to open, and I put it in a bowl, in a dark corner of my kitchen and think out of sight, out of mind. If I don't see it, it doesn't exist. And then, my my lights would go off and I'd go, I better pay that. So just to clarify, when you get that second notice from a utility bill or maybe your cable company, it doesn't mean, I have, 15 more days to pay before the company's actually serious about collecting their bill. No, you should pay it as soon as possible. So get a clear indication of where all of your bills are, the status of those bills, how much you have outstanding, and develop a plan to pay them off. Or if you can't pay them off right away, notify the company and say, hey, look, this is the bill that I have, and I need you to work with me on a way that I can pay it down and it doesn't go to collections. Okay, but there are some instances where, you need some support from credit counselors. I actually work with one for my clients, and I can refer you to her if you need credit counseling. So shoot me a quick message down below, and I can point you in the right direction. But for those of us that aren't looking for credit counseling at this time, we can continue to move on. So get a clear indication of where all your bills are, in addition to how you spend your money, and develop a plan on how to complete paying those, and then look at how we can pay them in the future on a monthly basis, or when the bill is due, that we're always on time with it. Because what we haven't considered is that if we have a bunch of bills that are past due and they go to collections, that affects our credit, which affects our ability to get a loan with a low interest rate for our car. And if we're looking at buying a house, that affects how much of a mortgage we can actually qualify. So you want to be very careful. You want to guard your credit score well. And if you have a low credit score, you want to start paying those bills on time so that your credit score can increase. Okay. And then the other thing is we need to develop a spending plan. I used to say budget, but I prefer spending plan, because doesn't budgeting sound so restrictive? It's not in my budget. But when you have a spending plan, it sounds like, you're not restricted, and then you're actually in charge of how you spend your money. Your money isn't in charge of you, if that makes sense. So a spending plan. And we look at what we need to include in our spending plan, like those utilities, the first time we get the bill, not on the second or third notice. Okay, so then we have our spending plan. Now we need to revisit that spending plan on a frequent basis, because sometimes things come up, and sometimes our spending plan gets derailed for one of 3 reasons. Either we have an impulse buy, which is kind of along the lines of what we talked about day 1 with our behavior and our way around money, how we view money. Okay, so an impulse buy can derail our spending plan. Something that comes up, an unexpected cost, like maybe your transmission blows out, or we didn't plan enough. So it's not the end of the world if your spending plan gets derailed. We just need to make some course corrections. Okay, if we didn't plan enough, now we can include that expense in our plan and go from there. If something unexpected comes up, then we can say, okay, well, this unexpected comes up. I need to have so much money in my reserve fund. Some people call it an emergency fund. I like to call it a reserve fund, because again, if you're planning for an emergency, 10 times out of 10, you will get an emergency. But if you call it a reserve fund, then nothing bad happens to you, in theory. Okay, So then you have to double down or put more funds into your reserve fund, and then you can move on from there. So today is all about clearing the financial clutter out of your life. Okay, so get a good handle on your bills, get a good handle on your spending trends, and then utilize your spending plan, and then revisit your spending plan on a daily basis. Take care, and I'll see you tomorrow.